Hey, my name is Ryan, and today I'm doing the break-in update on my Craft and Glory monkey boots. I feel like I've finally broken them in, and I have an opinion about them. And thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoy. I want to get the elephant out of the room when it comes to the way that I break in my boots. Now, I'm not someone who works on my feet all day long, and so I'm not the best person to give you long-term updates on the break-in of the boots. Really, what I do to break in my boots, especially since starting this YouTube channel, is I go on long walks at night on a paved pathway, and that kind of helps me see how they're breaking in. It conforms to my foot faster that way, and I see how the sole is wearing. But I know for a lot of guys and gals, you're doing hard labor and you're working on your boots and you're breaking them in better than I could ever break them in. But now I do feel that I've broken in several boots that way, and so I can kind of compare them to those other boots and I'll have a better idea of how they're breaking in over time. And I have broken in a lot of other boots um, the long way, so to speak. So I do feel like I have some experience with this, but everything is relative to my experience with the boots, and that's just what it is. So thank you guys again for watching. I'm going to turn the camera around. We're going to look at these. We're going to dive into these, and we're really going to see what my opinion of this brand is. I've taken the laces out of this one because we're going to dive into this one, but I kept them on my left boot because it just looks a little bit better. And the main thing that I was worried about with these boots was the squeak, and I do have an update on that, so I'll get to that in just a minute. But we'll start from the bottom up. And the first thing we'll talk about is how the sole is wearing. So, this is an aggressive sole. Can you see that? Let's see. And you don't expect these to wear really slow because it's an aggressive sole and it's a soft sole. And what I would say is comparing these to other boots that I've broken in by walking, about 10 to 15 miles on that pathway, is that they're doing okay. I think this sole might be breaking in or wearing out the fastest of the other boots that I've done this way. And, that's just how it is. I think that's just part of this style of sole. That's not what it's made for, and it's going to last long enough for casual use, but for asphalt walks it's not going to be great for. And I'm just trying to get these things broken in. So all in all, 1 out of 10, I'd give it like a 7 for the sole. I just lost some dirt. That's going to be great. Got to find that. And not great, but not terrible. It's not falling apart. The heel stack looks amazing, looks great. This boot does have that thick veg tan midsole. That looks really good. The boot is holding up amazingly, which, I mean, I guess it would be shocking if it wasn't, but it's doing really good. This is a hand welted boot, and so it's not even, it's not perfect, but it is, holding up really nicely. Then we go up to the upper leather. So the upper leather, it's creasing right here. That's where you're getting your main crease. That's not the prettiest thing, but it's where else is it going to crease, being that it's a monkey boot. So you're getting some pretty heavy creases there. And, there is a crease across the top here and here. So it's, not too bad. I think, for the style of boot, for the leather, it's holding up fairly well. This leather it's a little bit drier than what I'm used to, but it is a nice leather. It's holding up nicely, and I don't really have much complaints about it. On this left boot, you can see that the tongue leather, it's just the tongue leather with the rough outside, and you remember my complaints about it not being gusseted. So things have gotten into these boots. I have walked with rain, and some rain got into them. So that's just what it's going to be with this monkey style without it being gusseted. So I wasn't really surprised about that. One thing I will say, that even though that they cut these little lace stays into the tongue, this tongue does creep over. So it lives about like that. So I have to adjust it every once in a while. So I don't love that, but it's not the worst thing in the world. When it comes to the heel still has a lot of good structure. It is definitely scholastic to me, so that's one thing. It's not the beefiest heel, but that's kind of what you expect. And then I've been really impressed with the pull tabs. So I'm not a huge fan of pull tabs, but what they've done is they've used double the upper leather for this pull tab. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but there's even the upper leather on the other side, and so they put two pieces together, so it's really strong. I have a lot of confidence in this, and so I do use this, and it's the right size. So nothing negative to say about the pull tabs. Not usually my favorite thing, but it works really well. So the it's breaking in nicely. You know, it's not going to be a boot. This is what's funny about this boot to me. You know, when I wear it at work, when I ask people their opinion of it, you know, to most people, because of this style of sole and because of the design, maybe it's the laces too, they think of it as like a super rugged logging type of boot, just the general public. And this boot isn't going to be a boot that you're going to do a ton of work in. This boot is more of a style. A boot looks really nice and, you know, feels really good. It's pretty comfortable, but it just looks like it'd be super beefy. But it is a nice, lightweight, you know, easy to break in boot. All in all, I've enjoyed breaking it in. And the biggest problem I had with this boot came with the insole and with the squeak. And when I say squeak, you know, it's hard. It was pretty loud. I mean, when I was walking with my wife, I mean, you could hear it. I mean, even she was laughing because it was squeaking so loud. So I promise I wasn't making a big deal out of nothing. It was a pretty substantial squeak. And when I'd walk in like a hallway that was pretty quiet, it was embarrassing. I mean, it was like, I don't want to take these in my work hallway where, you know, people could hear me walking. So thankfully you guys commented a lot of things on how to get rid of the squeak, and I got rid of it. It is really good, but it did kind of change some things with the boot. So inside the boot, you had this nice veg tan insole. So this nice veg tan insole, you can see my footprint. It's broken in nicely. And what you guys said to do was to kind of sand this, and this was already fairly rough and sanded, but you said to oil this, sand it and oil it, and then sand this and oil it. So that's what I did. So I oiled the insole, I oiled the thick veg tan lasting board and insole. I put them in, I went for a walk. They kind of broke in nicely, and I didn't have the squeak anymore. So the squeak is gone. But what kind of happened when I did that I was, you know, not expecting, is I think it kind of swelled this insole and it swelled the veg tan lasting board to the point where it actually fit a little bit tighter than it was fitting before. So not a huge deal. It still fits, it still works, it's still good and everything. But that's, if you're like, you know, right at the cusp of what you can, you know, if the boot is like sized down and it's pretty tight already, you know, I don't recommend doing that. And this might be in my head, but I swear it's, before I did that, I had no problems with sizing. Now, with the same socks, with the same setup, it feels a little bit tighter. And that's what I'm guessing happened. The leather, you know, swells just a little bit, and every little bit counts. And, you know, who knows, maybe I ate too much salt for dinner or something and my foot was swollen. But I tried it on a day where I didn't, and I still had a little bit of tightness. Again, it's not terrible, but that's something I wanted to note. As you see with the heel, you have these screws. So these screws protrude pretty far. You can kind of see what's going on. You're getting an inside view right now. And I had worn this boot without that insole, and it worked great. I don't feel this. I know it looks ugly. It looks like it would tear up the bottom of your foot, but I don't know if it's the socks I'm using, but I don't feel it. But you can see how in the insole, it's kind of telegraphing through the insole, so there are the 4 bumps where you know where the screws are at. But again, that's not super uncomfortable to me. I don't even feel it. The boot is actually fairly comfortable. I love this, now that it's not squeaking, of course. I love having the thick veg tan lasting board and the veg tan insole, because you not only have a ton of leather under your foot, but you're able to kind of size the boots better. So this is like the summer configuration for me when I'm wearing normal socks, and then when I go into winter and I'm going to be wearing thicker socks, I'm using these in the snow, I'll pull that out and I'll be able to use these just fine. So it's held up fairly well. Everything has gone good, but it's not like it's the most sturdy boot in the world. It does have some flaws. It does kind of wear a little fast on the sole. So I'll give you my full synopsis of the break-in of this and my recommendation if you should check out this company. So what do I think about Craft and Glory? I think it's a good boot. You know, for this boot being $235 with that midsole, I think it's well worth the money. But you know, this isn't a real work boot. This boot isn't made to put through the paces of a real, you know, manual labor job. This boot is mostly a fashion boot, and that's what I've really gotten from the brand. If you're looking for something that looks really nice, has a cool, super unique leather, this buffalo leather with the pull-up is really pretty. and it's just going to be something that looks nice, breaks in nice. You have those heritage details with the welting, or the Goodyear, or the split welt, the hand welting, and the veg tan insole. So you've got a lot of cool heritage stuff. You can really break it in, but it's not going to be the best work boot with this sole. And I don't think anyone's buying this for work, but I mean, you know, it's something to think about. So I do recommend the brand. I do think they are a really good brand. They have a lot of cool styles. I wish they had more styles with the midsole. That's my only thing. It does beef up the boot a little bit more. I think it looks a little bit better, because on their other boots where they don't have the midsole, it's just a looks thing to me. It's when you have that lug sole right up to the welt, it just looks a little bit too thin. I don't know. That's just, maybe I'm overthinking it, but all in all, great boot. I would recommend it. I think it's worth the money. And you got to think about the handwork that goes into this boot. I know it's made in India, but you have to respect the handwork that is involved in getting this boot made, and appreciate that when you're wearing it. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave any comments if you have any questions or critiques about this video, and we will see you on the next one.